Here we have three different style E30 front chassis harnesses, which all disconnect. And as you can see, this one also has these flying leads here, which are for halos. That'll be an additional fee. Just let us know that you have halos and you need the flying leads. We supply the power and the ground. And then here, the front bumper light is a different connector than the other style. This is the other option. And then this does not have flying leads for halos. And then we also have another option, which you can see the dual disconnects from the main harness, which this will provide high beams and headlights to all four of the connectors. And this has the early style front bumper light connector for your blinker and parking lamps, and this also does have flying leads for halos. So these are a few different options. Whatever you have, just let us know and we can work with you on figuring out what'll be best for your build. It is nice to be able to display three different options. Here we are showing two separate E36 main portion of our chassis harness. There's three differences in these chassis harnesses. One is the front disconnects. This harness is set up for all four front lights to be activated as low beam and high beam, so we had to accommodate that. The other thing is this harness here has all of the functions minus the OEM headlights, the switch panel, where this one here has flying leads for the customer because this customer is going to utilize their OEM blinker and headlight switch. So we left them flying leads to tie in. And then another major difference is this has the X20 OBD1 pinout, and this harness here has a C101 E30 connector. So those are some differences. That's why this has an 8 switch panel, and that's why this one has a 5, because two of the functions are actually here for flying leads. The customer indicated that they would like to use their OEM stock, and we don't offer that at this time. So what we did is we left them flying leads, and we'll leave it all labeled for them. So here on this customer's order that we are going to be sending out, this is number 106. We have the OBD1 X20 connector, which they'll plug right into their S50. They have a ground. We don't label grounds. It's just a black ring end. That's a ground. And if it had red heat shrink, it would be a power. We have your digital dash disconnect. All of these functions are labeled on your provided legend, which we give you a paper copy, and we as well email you a copy in case you need it. The digital dash has its own dedicated ground per the installation instructions. And then we have here, which we were just discussing, is the flying leads for the blinkers and the high beam, which the customer will tie into their OEM stock. We have the facelift headlight and running light switch, OEM, plugs right in. We have your L.E.D blinker relay. We have your front Deutsch disconnect, which plugs right into your front of your harness. We don't talk about that. And here we have your brake pedal connector, which plugs right in. Looped up here is your flying lead for your wiper. We supply the power, you supply the ground, which is activated off the switch panel. We have your switch panel off a Deutsch disconnect, and then as well as a disconnect for 12 volt and key on. The 12 volt is 20 gauge. The key on is 12 gauge flying lead, which is backed by a 30 amp relayed circuit. This is the driver's side of behind the dash area. Coming over to the passenger side behind the dash area, we leave you about a 3-foot length power source for the fuse block. We leave you your inputs and outputs If you need anything additional, let us know. The extra circuits from the X20 connector come through here and you can pick them up. We have some additional 12 volt key on and running lights on in case you guys need any of those. We have your fuse block. All fuse blocks are custom built. There you can see everything's labeled nice and neat. Then we run down the passenger side of the vehicle to behind the seat area, which we have the speed signal disconnect. Now this is a disconnect so that it simplifies your installation when routing the speed signal. You can go through the body out to the rear, or you can go from the rear under the vehicle up through the body. You have your disconnect for the rear portion of the chassis harness, and then you have your fuel level and your facelift fuel pump connector with a flying lead ground. Again, the ground is a ring end with black heat shrink, and if it was a power, you would have red heat shrink seen here. The rear portion of our E30 chassis harness. You can see these are twisted together because they're very long. These are your rear corner panel lights. This is the passenger side, the other is the driver. Here's your driver taillight connector, here's your license plate lights, and then the same thing on the other side, your license plate lights and your passenger taillight connector. The ground runs across down the passengers, down across the driver's side over to here, over here, and then it has your third brake light for a coupe, and it runs back across the back seat to the passenger side and will plug into the main chassis harness. The reason we do that is because the opening to get into the trunk is on the driver's side, and we are using the passenger side to run the main portion of the chassis harness so that the distance from the fuel pump to the fuse block is as short as possible.